Rio de Janeiro is one of the 27 states of Brazil. It has the second largest economy of Brazil, with the largest being that of the state of São Paulo. The state of Rio de Janeiro is located within the Brazilian geopolitical region classified as the Southeast. Rio de Janeiro shares borders with all the other states in the same Southeast macro-region: Minas Gerais, Espírito Santo and São Paulo. It is bounded on the east and south by the Atlantic Ocean. Rio de Janeiro has an area of 43,653 square kilometers. Its capital is the city of Rio de Janeiro, which was the capital of the Portuguese colony of Brazil from 1763 to 1815, of the United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil and the Algarves from 1815 to 1822, and of independent Brazil from 1822 to 1960. The 20 states' largest cities are Rio de Janeiro, São Gonçalo, Duque de Caxias, Nova Iguaçu, Niterói, Campos dos Goytacazes, Belford Roxo, São João da Merita, Petrópolis, Volta Redonda, Maguei, Macaé, Itaberê, Cabo Frio, Angra dos Reis, Nova Friburgo, Barra Mansa, Teresópolis, Mesquita and Nilópolis. Rio de Janeiro is the smallest state in the southeast macro-region and one of the smallest in Brazil. It is, however, the third most populous Brazilian state, with a population of 16 million of people in 2011. In the Brazilian flag, the state is represented by the Beta star in the Southern Cross. Geography. The state is part of the Mata Atlântica biome and is made up of two distinct morphological areas: a coastal plain, known as Baixada, and a plateau, which are disposed in parallel fashion from the shoreline on the Atlantic Ocean inland towards Minas Gerais. The coastline extends 635 kilometers and is formed by the bays of Guanabara, Sepetiba, and Ilha Grande. There are prominent slopes near the ocean, featuring also diverse environments, such as resting of vegetation, bays, lagoons and tropical forests. Most of the state, however, consists of highlands, often higher than 1,000 meters, formed by several mountain chains like the Serra do Mar, which separates Rio from the state of São Paulo. The highest point of the state, the Pico das Águias Negras, is located in the Serra da Mantiqueira, which forms the physical border with neighboring Minas Gerais. Its principal rivers are the Guandu, the Paré, the Paraíba do Sul, the Macaé and the Muriré. Vegetation and animal life. Tropical forests used to cover more than 90% of the territory of Rio. Large portions were devastated for urbanization and for plantations. Preserved areas can be found in the steepest parts of the mountain chains. The state's tropical coast and river areas are the only remaining habitat of the golden lion tamarin. Climate. The entire state is located within the tropics, so a tropical climate is predominant. However, due to altitude, temperatures can drop to freezing point or below in some parts. Frost is not uncommon in some mountainous cities such as Teresópolis, Nova Friburgo and Petrópolis, and snow has been reported occasionally in the Itatiaia National Park. Annual mean temperatures on the coast are around 23 degrees Celsius, 26 degrees Celsius in summer and 20 degrees Celsius in winter. In the mountains, annual mean temperatures are around 18 degrees Celsius but can range from 20 degrees Celsius at an elevation of 600 to 700 meters above sea level to 7 degrees Celsius in the Itatiaia National Park. Summers in these areas tend to be warm but not hot, with averages around 22 degrees Celsius. Winters are quite chilly by Brazilian standards, with lows around 8 to 9 degrees Celsius. Rains tend to be concentrated in the summer, with a dry season in the winter. Most of the state receives between 1,000 and 1,500 millimeters of rainfall in a year. History. Hereditary captainships. European presence in Rio de Janeiro is as old as Brazil itself, dating back to 1502. Rio de Janeiro originated from parts of the captainships of de Tomé and São Vicente. Between 1555 and 1567, the territory was occupied by the French, who intended to install a colony, France Antarctique, aiming to prevent the occupation of the Frenchmen. In March 1565, the city of Rio de Janeiro was established by Estacio de Sá. In the 17th century, cattle raising and sugar cane cultivation stimulated the city's progress, which was definitively assured when the port started to export gold extracted from Minas Gerais in the 18th century. In 1763, Rio de Janeiro became the capital of colonial Brazil. Chief among the promoted changes were the transformation of agencies of public administration and justice, the creation of new churches and hospitals, the foundation of the first bank of the country, the Banco do Brasil, and the royal press, with the Gazette do Rio of Janeiro. The following years witnessed the creation of the Jardim Botânico and the Academia Real Militar. There followed a process of cultural enhancement influenced not only by the arrival of the royal family, but also by the presence of European graphic artists who were hired to record the society and Brazilian natural features. During this same time, the Escola Real de Ciências, Arte Oficios, was founded as well. The neutral city in 1834, the city of Rio de Janeiro was transformed into a neutral city, remaining as capital of the state, while the captainships became provinces, with headquarters in Niterói, a neighboring city. In 1889, the city became the capital of the Republic, the neutral city became the federal district and the province a state. In 1894, Petropolis became the capital of Rio de Janeiro, until 1902. With the relocation of the federal capital to Brasília in 1960, the city of Rio de Janeiro became Guanabara State. The new state of Rio de Janeiro. In 1975, the states of Guanabara and Rio de Janeiro were merged under the name of Rio de Janeiro, with the city of Rio de Janeiro as state capital. The symbols of the former state of Rio de Janeiro were preserved, while the symbols of Guanabara were kept by the city of Rio de Janeiro. Demographics. According to the IBGE of 2008, there were 15,772,000 people residing in the state. The population density was 352.58 inhabitants per square kilometer. Urbanization, 96.9%. Population growth, 1.3%. The last PNAD census revealed the following numbers: 8,509,000 white people, 5,302,000 Pardo people, 1,809,000 black people, 25,000 Asian people, 19,000 Amerindian people. People of Portuguese ancestry predominate in most of the state. The Brazilian census of 1920 showed that 39.74% of the Portuguese who lived in Brazil lived in Rio de Janeiro, including all of the Rio de Janeiro. The proportion raised to 46.30% of the Portuguese who lived in Brazil. The numerical presence of the Portuguese was extremely high, accounting for 72% of the foreigners who lived in the capital. In other words, native-born Portuguese and the children accounted for 51.20% of the inhabitants of Rio, or a total of 267,664 people in 1890. Other European ethnic groups, such as Swiss, Finnish and Germans, settled mostly in the mountainous areas and in the capital. Italians and Spaniards are also present in the capital as well as in the surrounding cities. People of African descent are numerous, particularly in the metropolitan area of the capital city. Those of mixed-race ancestry make up the majority of the population in many cities. The city of Itaguai was considered a Japanese colony in the 20th century, but many of the Asian Fluminenses that once lived there moved overseas as well to other Brazilian states like São Paulo. Largest cities economy. The industrial sector is the largest component of GDP at 51.6%, followed by the service sector at 47.8%. Agriculture represents 0.6% of GDP. Rio de Janeiro exports petroleum 44.8%, fuel 17.5%, siderurgy 13%, chemicals 3.6%, not ferrous metals 2.8%, vehicles 2.1%. Participation in the Brazilian economy 15.6%. There are 3,915,724 vehicles in the state, 10 million mobile phones, 5.3 telephones, and 92 cities. Education. The state of Rio de Janeiro has the fourth best education in Brazil, second only to the Federal District, São Paulo and Goiás. The state has the fourth lowest illiteracy rate in Brazil, about 4% of its population. The illiteracy rate in the state is compared to countries like Singapore, Portugal, and China. Colleges and universities. Most of the state's leading universities are public. The most prestigious university is the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, the second best in Brazil, and fifth best in Latin America, second only to the University of São Paulo, the best in Latin America, according to the QS World University Rankings. Some other well-known colleges and universities in the state: Public Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, State University of Rio de Janeiro, Universidade Federal Fluminense, Universidade Federal do Estado do Rio de Janeiro, Universidade Federal Rural do Rio de Janeiro, Instituto Militar de Engenharia, Universidade Estadual do Norte Fluminense, Private Pontificia Universidade Católica do Rio de Janeiro, Universidade Grande Rio, Escola Superior de Propaganda e Marketing, Fundação Getúlio Vargas, Universidade Católica de Petrópolis, Faculdade de Medicina de Petrópolis, Universidade Cândido Mendes. Culture. Carnival. The occasion of the last 5 days leading up to Lent is annually cause for a great explosion of joy in Rio, around-the-clock party, uniting emotions, creativity, plasticity, colors, sounds and much fantasy. It is the greatest popular party in the world, a unique record of the rich cultural melting pot typical of Brazil. In Rio, it is celebrated in various ways, most famously through the elaborate competition of samba schools comprising thousands of dancers in each school, each of which has composed a new enredo de samba for the year that is released and popularized by the time Carnival arrives, thus already recognizable for its lyrics, themes, and rhythms by the energized audience in the bleachers thronging to see the all-night competition of one samba school after another until dawn. Each samba school consists of alisa of samba dancers costumed to carry out one aspect of the theme of the song they all sing. This event began in the 1930s as a diversion for what politicians sought to assuage as an otherwise restive populace. It came to be held on the bleacher-lined Marquês do Sapucaí for decades until her covered Sambadromo was built in the 1980s. In other parts of the city, Carnival festivities include the Bandida Ipanema, a street parade of transvestite costuming that draws its throngs of revelers to the streets of Ipanema, in the city center on the final night of Carnival, into the wee hours of Quarta-Chinza. A very different flavor of street parade is provided by Quilombo with authentic African costuming. For others, Carnival is a time of clubbing in costume in more exclusive locales in the Zona Sul. The film Black Orpheus is set in the context of Carnival in Rio. New Year's Eve in Rio de Janeiro, a globally unique New Year's Eve celebration, involves the whole city population. Local inhabitants and visitors join in flocking to the ocean to celebrate the night of the year when thanks are given and wishes are made to the goddess of the sea, Iamanya. In honor of her traditional garb, celebrants dress in white and bear gifts like flowers, especially white, and even blancmange. At midnight, beachgoers on the typically hot midsummer night walk into the surf and cast their flowers on the lapping waves to be carried out to honor the goddess. Nearby parties, concerts and music last into the dawn, many choosing to sleep it off on the beach on New Year's Day. In recent years, campfires and the oral tradition of shared stories around statues of Ayamanya has modernized into massive fireworks displays and to a mega concert on the famous beach of Copacabana. Infrastructure. International airports since August 2004, with the transfer of many flights from Santos Dumont Airport to Rio de Janeiro Galeão International Airport. Rio de Janeiro has returned to being the main doorway to Brazil. According to data from the official Brazilian travel bureau, Embraer, nearly 40% of foreign tourists who visit Brazil choose Rio as their gateway, meaning Galeão Airport. Besides linking Rio to the rest of Brazil with domestic flights, Galeão has connections to 18 other countries. It can handle up to 15 million passengers a year in 2 passenger terminals. Located 20 kilometers from downtown Rio, the international airport is served by several quick-access routes, such as the Linha Vermelha, Red Line and Linha Amarela, Yellow Line freeways and Avenida Brasil, Brazil Avenue, thus conveniently serving residents of the city's southern, northern and western zones. There are special shuttle buses linking Galeão to Santos Dumont, and bus and taxi service to the rest of the city. The airport complex also has Brazil's longest runway at 4,240 meters, and one of South America's largest and best-equipped cargo logistics terminals. Highways. The main federal highways that cross the state are BR 101, BR 116, BR 040, BR 354, BR 356, BR 393, BR 465, BR 493, BR 495. Port construction is underway on a new port of ACU. The port will cover 36 square miles. This $1.6 billion United States dollars project at São João da Barra, approximately 280 kilometers from Rio de Janeiro, has been under construction since October 2007 and will be operational in 2013. It is forecast that the port will eventually handle over 63 million tons of iron ore, 10 million tons of steel products, 15 million tons of coal, 5 million tons of dry bulk and 7.5 million tons of general cargo. A breakwater dam to protect ships from ocean waves is also planned. Sports. Sports are a very popular pastime in Rio de Janeiro. The most popular is association football. Rio de Janeiro is home to 4 traditional Brazilian football clubs: Flamengo, Vasco, Fluminense and Botafogo. The state football league is Campeonato Carioca. The city of Rio de Janeiro will be hosting the 2014 FIFA World Cup. The city has built a new stadium near the Maracana to hold 45,000 people. It was named after Brazilian ex-FIFA president João Havelange. Other notable sports events in Rio include the MoToP Brazilian Grand Prix and the World Beach Volleyball Finals. Jacarepaguá was the place of Formula One Brazilian Grand Prix into 1978 to 1990 and the Champ Car event into 1996 to 1999. WCT, WQS Surf Championships were contested on the beaches from 1985 to 2001. On the 2nd of October 2009, Rio de Janeiro was selected to host the 2016 Olympic Games, which will be the first to be held in South America. State flag. An eagle, symbol of Brazil's royal family, appears on the state flag with the rock formation Dado de Deus near Teresópolis in the background. The outer part of the coat of arms represents the state's agricultural richness, sugarcane and coffee. Flags used in Rio de Janeiro over the years: Flag of the Captaincy of Rio de Janeiro, Flag of the Province of Rio de Janeiro, Flag of the State of Rio de Janeiro. Gallery.